see that they are admitted into the session. Yes, please, because our moderator is also in the waiting room and she's seeking admission into the Zoom session. So please make sure that that is correct. We're just going to go ahead anyways. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Zainab Aderomu, and I'm the state representative for the Lagos cohort of the SDGs Advocate Program for cohort 4. And we have put this session together to sort of advance the awareness and to advance the level of information that is available to everybody in terms of achieving the sustainable development goals and to ensure that every single person is on board. Yes, every single person is on board the efforts to achieve the SDGs. And tonight we're talking about a very, very important SDG, which I think everybody definitely should be advocating, and that is climate action. So we're going to be talking about, if you've seen the flyer, if you saw the flyer, you would understand the urgency of the data. It says, how urgent is climate change? Call to action for young. We're just going to be hearing how climate change is. We're also going to be hearing how we can contribute to the how we can take climate action, why it is important for us to take climate action. And I'm super excited about the speakers that we have here. We have the founder of EcoBees. We have the founder of Recyclub NG, who are already in the house with us. I can see in the house with us, and we have the founder of Green Journey. We also have the founder of Green Journey. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining. Hello, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, but could you hear me before?
No, I couldn't hear anything before.
Oh, for that. All right. So I'm going to invite. I'm trying to see if our first speaker is in the room so that we can invite him to stage. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to invite our first speaker into the room, but I do not think he's here with us yet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sincere apologies once again. So I don't think our first speaker is here yet. However, I think we're just going to go ahead with our speakers who are already on ground because I understand that they have so much value that they want to share with us, and we're here for the value that they have to dish with us. So I would just invite our next speaker. This person is the founder of Recyclub NG. She is a climate educator and specialist who is a key voice in raising the next generation of eco-leaders through education for sustainable development. She's the founder of Recyclub NG, already mentioned, that is geared towards grooming the next generation of children and teenagers to be eco-conscious leaders in Nigeria by utilizing climate education as a tool for sustainable development.
Sorry to cut in. I think, am I the only one hearing that the network? I think, Zainab, I'm sorry, but I think your network is breaking because I can't really hear what you're saying. I don't know if I'm the only one.
All right, happening here too. Sorry.
Same with me.
I noticed. I thought I was the only one. Sorry, Zainab, but
Thank you so much for pointing that out. I'll see if that can be fixed. But can you still hear me though?
yes, I can hear you. It's just that sometimes it's breaking.
Okay, all right then. So I was introducing our first speaker, and I was saying that as an educator with over 7 years of teaching experience, she has developed a curriculum to help teach children about climate change and the environment. When she's not climate and environment sustainability, she works with startups to enhance their product marketing efforts. Please, with the Lagos energy, we know how we usually do it. Please put your drum rolls, your claps, your fire emoji in the comment section. To the microphone, Musimioluwabi.
Welcome.
All right, guys. So I'm not seeing the fire emojis yet. I hope you heard me correctly, but I'm not seeing the claps. And she's not going to assume. She's not going to begin to speak until we actually put the drum rolls and the fire emojis in the comment section. So I really need us to welcome her because this is a lot of effort and energy that she's putting into this. All right, Musimileolua, please, you have the floor. You can go ahead now.
Hi Zainab, thank you so much for the warm welcome. Although your internet was trying to get in the way, but we're good. It's so great to be here. It's so great to be here, and I'm super excited to be speaking here. I really love to talk about the climate and climate issues that we face. And when Zainab reached out, I was like, yay, another opportunity to share the good news, the gospel of environmental sustainability and why we need to take climate action now. Please let me know if you can hear me so that we don't have like network glitches. Just like affirm with any emoji Okay, great. All right, so my name is Simi. My full name is Mosimi Olua, but you can always call me Simi. And I'm the founder of Recycle Club NG. So what we basically do at Recycle Club is enlightening the younger generation, children and teenagers, on the climate issues that we face, and not just enlightening them on these issues, but also how to create solutions to these issues. So it's one thing to let people know that there's a problem. It's another thing to help them create, viable solutions to this problem. So that's what we do at Recycle Club, basically climate education. And I'm aware that the theme of this webinar is why climate action, why youth need to take climate action. But because we have like a lineup of speakers who will be delving deep into this, topic, I would want to start with what is climate change? Like, give you the scientific aspect to it, helping you have like a clearer and a broader picture of what climate change is. Because I'm not going to lie to you, prior to now, prior to when I started my climate journey, I didn't really understand the concept of climate change. I thought it was just one, far-fetched idea or something that somebody just cooked up, propaganda, right? Until I fully understood what it was, and it helped me, develop a sense of responsibility towards the environment and made me want to, start living sustainably. So I want you to have that. I want you to have like a clearer picture so that you have a full on. So when people are telling you, do this, do that, you're not doing it out of compulsion, but you're doing it because you have a clearer understanding and you know that your actions matter, right? So we're going to be starting with climate change. Obviously, we know what the climate is. We know what the weather is. I'm tempted to start explaining what climate and weather is, but I'm trying to work with my time. And I'm not going to be teaching like I'm teaching children, because when I'm explaining things to people, I like to break it down. But I'm just going to like do as much as I can within the short time I have. Now we know that climate change is the change in, the weather patterns and temperature that make up the Earth's climate. We know that the weather patterns make up the climate. And so when there's a long-term change or a long-term shift in these weather patterns and temperature, that's what we refer to as climate change. And climate change is largely caused as a result of human activities, right? And so people ask questions like, okay, are you sure what is happening is really climate change? What if it is just, a natural disaster? I usually come from this point of view saying that when God created the earth, I'm a Christian, and I know that Muslims in the house also believe that God created the earth. Now, when God created the earth, he created the earth to thrive in equilibrium. So everything he created was good. Everything he did, the water bodies, the sun, the moon, everything was created to thrive in equilibrium. There was a balance, right? And however, and no matter how good something is, we know that when it is in excess, it would wreak havoc, right? And so when natural disasters occur, we know that it's as a result of something that triggered it. But the frequency at which this so-called these things we tag as natural disasters now occur are signs to the reality of climate change. We hear of melting ice, we hear of wildfires, we hear of droughts. Let's even bring it home to Nigeria. We see areas, let's bring Lagos, exactly, Lagos. I like to see Lagos as a form of coastal area because we have a lot of water bodies surrounding us. Now, when it rains, there's so much flooding. People try to attach it to the fact that we don't have enough drainages and how that people are clogging the drainages that we have. Rightly so. But then again, when ice melts, you know that all our water bodies are sort of connected. The water in Lagos is still connected to the Atlantic Ocean. All the water bodies are sort of linked. Now, when there's melting ice, the sea level rises. And the boundaries, what the water body can, what the sea body can accommodate, it's now becoming more than it can accommodate. Let me put it that way. And so when it begins to rise, it finds outlets, it finds ways to flow out, and it begins to channel itself to all of the other connecting, water bodies. And so when it rains, rain, aggravates this whole thing, and then the water spills out and causes, wreaks havoc and causes a lot of terrible things, right? I'm trying to paint a very clear picture of what climate change is so that we understand the effect and how devastating it can be. Let's talk about the north. Let's not even talk about just water. We know that the north is naturally a hot place. But then farmers, if you don't know, please know now that farmers in the north are experiencing so much hotness that sometimes their soil is as hard as rock. That's an effect of climate change. And you can ask, okay, you say human activities cause climate change. What am I doing exactly that is causing climate change? I'll start from something we call historical profiling. So this is what scientists use to back up, climate change and, how climate change has progressed over the years, right? Now, before what we know as industrialization started, remember I said that the world was created in equilibrium. So everything that God created was made to thrive in equilibrium. He created something we call greenhouse gases, right? The greenhouse gases are like a form of blanket in the atmosphere to trap a certain amount of heat into the earth. If we don't have greenhouse gases, the earth would freeze, right? So it was created such that some of the rays radiated by the sun will be trapped. Just imagine you're very cold, right? And you put a blanket over yourself to form of, give you some form of warmth. That's what the greenhouse gases do to the earth. And because they were created in a certain amount, they were created in certain percentage, they were just to trap a certain amount of heat into the earth so that we don't freeze. That's where the concept of greenhouse in farming came about. Now, because as a result of human activities, these greenhouse gases have, become plentier. They become more in the atmosphere. And when something becomes more, the strength increases. So because they become so much in the atmosphere, they are trapping more heat than they should. They're trapping more heat than they naturally should. And so this is resulting in the climate change that we're experiencing, the melting ice I spoke about, resulting in flooding, resulting in drought, resulting in wildfire, right? And I was speaking about historical profiling. So in the 1750s was when we had industrialization actually really started. And scientists plotted a graph to show how much carbon has been emitted in the atmosphere since that time. It shows that there's been a spike, I think from the 2000s, there was a sharp spike. That's to show you, obviously in the 1750s, they didn't have so much industrialization. And so as the year went by, industries here and there, carbon continued to be emitted into the atmosphere. And because there had been more industries, more form of industrialization everywhere, the emission of carbon has increased. And so it has strengthened the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, causing it to trap more heat. And sometimes people ask me that carbon dioxide is the air that we breathe out, right? Why is it wreaking so much havoc in the atmosphere? And I just explained that it was created to just trap. It was created in a very natural form, such that when in excess, plants, the soil and water bodies will be able to absorb any excess, right? The earth was a very beautiful design, but because of the things that we do as humans has caused some form of imbalance. And so there's so much carbon in the atmosphere that the natural bodies cannot absorb anymore, right? And if we see that, we can see that the climate is changing rapidly. If the climate is changing rapidly now, what will happen in the next 10 to 20 years, right? If we sit and say, oh, it's none of my business. Some people also come with, a point of view saying, we don't have so much industries in Nigeria, so it's none of our business. Let the white men, sort out these issues. It's a white man's problem. And I always give the illusion of a burning house. I say if the earth was assumed to be a house, right? And we had nowhere else to go, but somebody started a fire somewhere. And then let's say in the third room, and you're in the sitting room, the living room, and you're like, it's none of my business, I didn't start the fire. The house will burn. Everything will burn down to the ground, and we'll all be, homeless. So that's the case of the earth. We have just one earth. There is no other earth we want to go and survive in, to be honest. And so if we sit back and say, it's none of my business, we don't have so much industries in Nigeria, we're contributing only a certain percentage of carbon into the atmosphere, we will all suffer it at the end of the day, which is why we must put our hands together to work towards creating a sustainable future for ourselves. The question you should ask yourself now is, how can we have a state of equilibrium again, like what God created it to be? The truth is, we can't take out industrialization, because that is one of the ways by which the world developed, right? But then we can actually create sustainable solutions. So as opposed to using this means of creating this, why can't we use an alternative to create a more sustainable solution so that carbon emissions will not increase, right? And that is where we have a net zero carbon emission goal by 2050, saying, we should achieve a state of equilibrium where there is net zero carbon emission. And what does net zero mean? It's a state of carbon neutrality where the carbon emissions that we release are balanced, such that the emissions we release can be, how do I explain this? The emissions we released are such that we have enough trees, we have enough natural bodies to reabsorb whatever is left in the atmosphere, right? The carbon emissions are reduced drastically. Like I mentioned, we can't take out industrialization. We can't take out carbon emissions completely. I'm always very honest. It is nearly impossible because we are humans. We still breathe out carbon dioxide. Our animals, cows, our cattle, the methane in their fats. When animals fat, when cows fat, they release methane. It's also a greenhouse gas. It contributes to it, increases the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, right? We can't take out animals, we can't take out livestock, but then the major contributors to the increase in the greenhouse gases, which is industrialization, and the energy sources that we use can be worked on, which is why net zero carbon says, let's achieve a state of carbon neutrality where carbon emissions are drastically reduced such that whatever is left in the atmosphere, is too much for the atmosphere, can be easily reabsorbed by our trees, ocean, and soil. And another thing I want us to, understand from the concept of climate change or the climate issues that we experience currently is that we don't have 1,000 years to sit back and say, well, God created the earth and the earth can find its way to come back to equilibrium. We don't have that time anymore. The rate at which the climate is changing, if we do not fix it now, if we do not seek solutions, seek sustainable ways to thrive, look for how to decarbonize our energy system, there will be so much havoc wreaked. Lives will be displaced. Animals will die. People will die from famine and all sorts, which is why we need to sit up and take collective action to mitigate climate change. Now, I'm sure the next speaker will talk about climate mitigation and adaptation and how youths can come in to create sustainable climate solutions. I hope I've been able to paint a very clear picture of what climate change is, how it is caused, and the resulting effect of human activities on our climate. I'm sure there'll be room for questions at the end of the webinar, but yes, that's it for me for now.
All right, thank you so much, Mosimi. Yes, I'm just going to hand over to Praise. Praise, you can go ahead.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Mosimolulu Alabi. Thank you for that exciting speech and lecture. So if anyone has question, you can drop it in the comment box. Okay, so no one has any question, right? So since there's no other question, we'll be going on to the next speaker, Mr. Ashade Abdusalam Abiodun. Mr. Ashade Abdusalam Abiodun is an environmental ambassador, a climate change advocate, and a certified solid waste manager. He obtained his first and second degree from the Lagos State University, LASU Ojo, and is also an associate environment and safety manager and health, safety, and environment holder. He is the founder and executive director of Green Janitor Sustainable Initiative. Mr. Ashade is a certified solid waste manager, recycler, and climate change advocate with 10 years field work experience on waste management, advocacy, recycling, and upcycling training. He is an environmental sustainability consultant for corporates. So if you all with John Moles will invite Mr. Adesola Adeyegeye for the next.
I can't see anything again, Zulimi.
Oh, okay. I said Mr. Ashade Abdusalam is the next speaker now.
Oh, apologies.
Yes. Mr. Ashade Abdusalam. Oh, I don't think he's here. Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Oh, okay.
I hope good evening. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible enough? And if anyone can
Yes,
hear me,
sir.
just
Yes,
signify that.
yes, we can hear you.
All right, good evening. Once again, my name is Ashadi Absalam Abiodun, and just like the host has earlier introduced, I'm the executive director and the founder of Green Giant Sustainable Initiative. I believe I'm going to be very brief because of time. I have just 15 minutes. Thank you to the my first speaker, Simi, and it's a very nice one that you've done a lot of introductory information concerning climate change, so which is going to give me a very good background to kickstart. I have a few slides to share with you, just to use as a benchmark for my presentation. Zainab, I please kindly help me to share the slides so that we can kick off immediately. All right, thank you. All right, so I think Zainab is trying to share the slide. So we all know that the theme for this the theme for our engagement tonight is how urgent is climate change? How urgent is climate change? And of course, the CTA for the youth, the call to action for the youth. So when we look at the engagement, the introductory part that Simi just gave us now, I believe everyone on this board now have a view of what we call climate change. We all know what we call climate change. You understand? Now, now that we have what is climate change, now what the team is telling us now is that how urgent is this climate change? How urgent is it? Now, if you look at this slide now, I don't know if we are all seeing the slide. I don't know what Zainab is sharing from, but if you look at the slide, you will see images. You see houses surrounded with waters and the likes. What that signifies is that, you see, climate change is a major threat to our peace and security. And the effect of climate change is having competition on our resources, such as the land, our food, our water, our socio-economic, everything. Climate change is having that competition on all those resources. Do you understand? Now, if you look at, I don't know why the slide is not showing up anyway. If you look at the slide very well, because I want the image to actually say the message I'm trying to drive at, because pictures speak very much to people. You understand? So I want them to see the images. Now, just like I said climate change is a major threat to our food and security. Please move to the next slide, please. Move to the next slide. Now, you see, climate change is a risk multiplier that make worse already existing challenges. Not this slide, please. Climate change is a risk multiplier that makes worse already existing challenges. Let me try to explain this. You see, every problem that we have, any problem that you have, any problem, climate change will give you a kind of I believe we should understand what we mean by multiplier effect. It will make it multiple. There's no challenges that we're having on this earth. Climate change will multiply it. Now, the World Bank estimates that. Please, someone should mute. I don't know who is on. Please kindly mute yourself. The noise in your background. The World Bank estimate that in the absence of we not taking any action, just like we are saying that what is the call to action? If we are not taking any action at all, more than 140 million people in sub-Saharan Africa, in Latin America, South Asia will be forced to migrate within their regions by 2050. Let me explain. Let me bring it down to Africa. Let me bring it down to Nigeria. Now, this is the effect. If we are not taking any action, we are already seeing the effect. We all know Borno State in Nigeria, or let me use the word, the northern part of Nigeria. You know, the farmers there, the Fulanis, the X-Men, did you know what they used to do? They used to rear their cattle, take their cattle to the farm, let them, cultivate and the likes. Now, but some years back now, we started hearing issues of Fulani X-Men enter my farm and try to, encroach my farms and the likes. Did you know what caused it? What caused it is that they are migrating for survival of their animals. Because of what? Because of the effect of climate change. There is now drought in their own land. There is no, before now they have flower, they have cultivations that their cows can feed on. But all those things is no more. And for them to make their cows to survive, they have to migrate. So, because sometimes we don't really understand this climate change. It's not about weather alone. That is why I said climate change is a multiplier, is a risk multiplier that make worse already existing challenge. No any challenges that we're having, climate change will make it worse. And that is why you see those earthmen start to migrate from their own community to another place, just for them to survive, just for the animal to survive. What is causing their migration? Climate change. And that is why World Bank is trying to tell us that if we are not taking action now, 140 million people in sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America are going to migrate within regions by 2050. And it's already happening. Now, the next slide, you will see a footprint. You will see a footprint on the health. Now, what that is telling us is that if the nation is not taking immediate action, we are talking about what is the call to action. If you are not taking immediate action to reduce carbon footprint, the world will suffer catastrophes and irreversible effect of the climate change. And look, according to the IPCC is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They have warned that unless we reduce the use of the coal, oil, gas within the next 10 years, the global temperature is likely to increase by 1.5 degrees Celsius. I don't think we understand what that means. I don't think we understand. Imagine that the temperature is increasing by 1.5. Just imagine it. So now, please, the next slide, please. Now, you see, we as youth, we need to understand that this climate change is not for us to make actions or make effect. It's not a scientific rocket like that. Yeah, because a lot of people, because climate change, we know is the scientific terms and the likes. But for us to make this change, it's not something that we ourselves cannot do something about it. In the next slide, you will see. Can you see the flame that is coming? Simi was trying to explain GHG for us the other time, the greenhouse gases. Now, for us to take greatest action against climate change as individual, as a youth, we need to figure out the ways to reduce our climate footprint. And that means that we need to reduce this fossil fuel. What you see, the image you saw the last time, please go back to that image. You see that emission coming. Those are the fossil fuel. Those are part of the things that cause this GHG, the greenhouse gases. Do you understand? And you see, by now, the youth should know that the increasing risk of climate change poses a lot of threat to our earth, to our infrastructure, to the stability of food, to the water resources, and of course to the biodiversity of the planet's ecosystem. And I don't think by now, if there is any youth on this platform or any youth that is your friend, your relative, and they are not aware about climate change, now the first call to action is advocacy on climate change. The first call to action is advocacy on climate. You can't have a friend, you are aware of climate change. You can't have a friend and the friend does not even know that climate change is real. Like the person does not even know that you just know that climate change. They need to understand what is climate change. Like climate change will make some people homeless. It's already happening in Lagos State. It's happening around us, and we are not even taking cognizance of it. It's not too big. You need just little actions, just little effect, just little, effort for you to make a change globally. So first call to action is advocacy on climate change. Anyone that is close to you must start knowing about climate change. Your schoolmates, your colleagues, you need to talk to them. You need to break it down to them. There's climate change. This is the cause. This is this is that, and this is how we can reduce it. Everyone needs to be aware, so that it's not going to just cut off like that. The next slide, please. Now, the next slide, another call to action. I don't know, maybe Simi I don't know, maybe she's very spiritual because she was trying to say that the next speaker will talk about mitigation. And I was like, did she even know that I prepare about that? But that's just it. When you're into advocate, you already know what is next to do. And that's just the spirit. Now, the next call to action is for us to mitigation and adaptation to climate change. You see, climate change is not something we can change. It's not something that will not happen. It's happening. So the only call to action for us now, after we continue to do continuous advocacy on climate change, we need to start talking about it. People need to know that there's climate change. There's something is called climate change. Not by words, by telling them the effect, telling them what is happening, telling them what is going to cost. And the next call to action is for us to mitigate and adapt. That is mitigation and adaptation. And I will explain it. Now, if you are saying that we want to adapt, that is, there should be an effort towards restoring the natural, all our natural flooding plains. We need to try to reduce flooding, the risk of flooding. We need to try to continue to plant trees. You are already adapting. If you are planting trees, you are already adapting by what? By planting trees. We need to start to make sure that we're planting trees, to cool our areas. We need to start to improve our cropland management. We need to start to talk about water use efficiency. We need to start talk about earth programs, efficient earth programs to prepare for extreme heat. One of the effects of climate change is heat. Don't you see that we don't even have heat here, sir? So we don't even, the one that we have is a summary of what is called heat when the climate change hit us. Is a summary. So we need to be prepared for, we need to prepare extremely for those heat. We need to start to conserve our waterlands. Some years back, through my NGO, we did an advocacy on encroachment on wetlands. If you go to Ikoyi, all this VI, all these places that they call themselves VGC and Banana Island, or that is Plantain Island, you will see that most of them actually encroach on some of these wetlands by doing sand filling and sending water back. And that is why when there is just a little pour of rain, you see all of them carrying boats, carrying canoe to enter their houses. That is the effect of climate change now, because we are not taking cognizance, we are not adapting to climate change. By adapting to it, we must not encroach on all those wetlands. I doubt if any of us even know any wetlands around you. There are wetlands in every local government in Lagos State if you are residing in Lagos State. The Ministry of Environment tries to preserve those places. You must make sure that people in your own area, your baale, is not sending those lines. If they are sending raised boys, these are call to actions too. Now, we need to also mitigate. When we say mitigation of climate change, you see, it means we need to reduce the flow of heat trapping the greenhouse gases. And this is something that I would like to tell us that, when we're in school, I don't know if you can remember, when you're in school, they used to tell us about, I know you know about photosynthesis. You remember now, the process which, and now every one of us needs to try to go back to see how this climate change, this thing that we are saying is not English. Oh. If you eat us like this, I don't think you understand. And the best natural process and the most efficient technology to reduce the amount of carbon footprint is for us to continue to see how we can plant trees for them to capture the carbon from the atmosphere and release oxygen. So we need a lot of advocacy on tree planting. That's why you see Lagos State saying planting, but it's not enough, because a lot of them now is even using them for jamboree, plant trees, this and that. No. We need to be serious and deliberate about it. So also, is a mitigation of climate change. I've explained it. And how can you get involved with mitigating? Because when I'm saying you get an adaptation, a lot of people will just say, it's not about research and stuff. It involves you. You need to reduce all these. Let me give you an example. If you can be able to take trek from one place to another, please reduce the use of bikes or vehicles. You can trek. Why are you taking vehicle? For example, if you're on your campus, you can trek from one faculty to another, or from gate, you take shuttle, or you are also contributing, because just reduce it. I'm not saying you should not take vehicle, so you not start working and they will not say they are looking for you. But I'm saying you need to reduce. So we need to, if you can take ride, you can take bicycle or walk. So you're also reducing it. So those are the part of ways in which you can try to mitigate and of course reduce and avoid the emissions that we release into the air. Of course, reduce the effort in your home. Let me tell you, very simple. In your home, some of you will just open water, it will be gushing out because you have a free borehole at home. You are also wasting water. You are also contributing to climate change. No matter the little action that you are doing, that is not affecting us to conserve, to reduce all those water that is going to. Did you know where they are going to? You that used to build vehicle, inside the vehicle too, you drink pet coke, you drink gala, and you throw the bottle on the highway, you're also contributing to climate change. So every little actions too matters and is contributing to climate change. So you need to have a very different mindset change, be disciplined. You need to talk to people. Why are you throwing the pet bottle away? Keep them, take them, conserve them. We are talking about circular economy now. It's a way for us to also reduce and adapt to climate change. Circular economy is for us to say that any waste to us, no, nothing is waste. Every waste to also start another life cycle. We should move from linear economy. So all these things are little actions. If you finish talking today now, I'm very sure maybe someone who is even drinking pet bottle presently as we are talking. When the person finish in his own home self, he's not going to separate his waste or his or her waste. He will still drop it together. So all those little actions still matters and they contribute to the effect of climate change. So my change makers, my advocates and global change makers, it is beyond us talking. It is beyond us talking. It's beyond us talking. We need to take action. Some of you can post all this life. Ask them in all these years now, 2023 is about to finish. Have you ever posted about climate change or talk about the environment degradation? So we need to use every platform we have to start talking so that everybody will be aware. It's coming. It's coming. You understand? The way we talk about maybe fuel subsidy when it hit us, or we talk about something, the way we are talking about the guy that just deceased, may speak. So we need to be talking about this too. It's something that is eating us. We are not knowing, we are not paying attention to it. So thank you to the Lagos SGN, for giving us this platform to engage. But please, beyond us, we need to take action. Don't forget, this first CTA is for us to have a continuous advocacy. You need to, if anybody is beside you, your friend, and they don't know that there's something called climate change, then you ask, why are you here? Why are you coming here to come and say call to action? Call to action start around you. I doubt there's anybody. I doubt it that there's anybody that I've ever known, anybody that will not know about climate change or about environment. There's no how, because that's the first thing I'll even tell you. I'll preach to you. We need to start pushing the gospel. And beyond that, we need to adapt and mitigate to climate change. And those are the things that I've tried to explain to us on how to take action about it. And small action you are doing in your home is making a global effect. So nothing is small. Don't say, is it not small pet bottle? They can pick it now. No, if you keep it, you're already adapting, mitigating to climate change. So once again, it's a pleasure to speak to every one of us tonight on this platform. And I hope that at least we've gotten a little bit insight and we've gotten out to, have a call to action towards climate change. And we know that how urgent is climate change. Climate change is causing war, it's causing migration, it's causing insecurity, it's causing, reduce of a lot of things. So it's very, very urgent. By saying how urgent is a rhetorical question because it's not something we should ask about. So let's take action. And I pray that God help us, and let's keep putting on the energy and doing the best towards making sure that we're mitigating and adapting to climate change. Once again, my name is Ashadi Absalam Abiodun, and you can try to reach out to us on our IG at Green Janitors on what we do, so that we're not going to take your time. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Shade. Thank you, Mr. Shade. So I was able to learn from you that we should take action by number one, using every platform for climate advocacy. So I want to give everyone a task right now. So I want all of us to go to our WhatsApp and write hashtag take action, hashtag safe earth. So please, can we all do that? Before we start taking a question, hashtag take action, hashtag safe earth on your WhatsApp status, hashtag take action, hashtag safe earth. Please, can you do that? Thank you. I hope you're all doing that. Hashtag take action and hashtag save it. So we're going to be calling in our. Okay, do you have any questions? Please, if you have any question, you can drop that in the comments box so that we can answer your question because it's right here for us. Any question? We actually grab what he said and then we're ready to take action because no one is giving any question. So we're going on to the third speaker, Mr. Adegeye Adesola. Mr. Adesola Adeyege is an inspiring young
Hi,
environmentalist.
hi, Praise. Just to call your attention, she's a
Yes, ma'am.
female. I think
Oh,
you'd want
sorry,
to
ma.
correct that to Miss
Yes,
Adesola
ma'am.
Adege. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, she is Miss Adesola Adegeye. She is an inspiring young environmentalist and green entrepreneur with a background in engineering and a strong commitment to sustainability. She founded Green with Green, an organization that spread environmental awareness through engaging and informative content. In 2021, she went into green entrepreneurship and established EcoBiz, a social enterprise that offers high quality, eco friendly products to promote conscious consumerism and more ethically friendly choices. Her exceptional work led her to selection as one of the only two Nigerians to participate in the prestigious Girl Movers Program, a global leadership initiative endorsed by the United Nations. Adesola's significant achievements haven't not gotten unnoticed. In March 2023, she was honored as one of the most influential women in Africa, a testament to her remarkable impact and unwavering dedication. Her diverse experiences as an engineer, environmentalist, and entrepreneur continue to inspire and motivate those around her to contribute to the collective effort of creating a better world. Her profile has actually gotten me engaged. So we'll be giving the floor to Miss Adegeye Adesola.
Thank you very much, Zainab, and our co-host. I'm really happy and delighted to be here. I mean, it's one thing that interests me about climate change is that it affects everybody. It doesn't know whether you're old, whether you're young. And I mean, being a youth myself, which is we are like the highest population in especially in Nigeria here. So it's a good topic. It's one that affects everybody and should be talked about. So it can never be over talked about. Some people tell you climate change, that's the buzz, that's the trend. It's not a trend though, it is something that affects everybody. So thank you so much for that warm welcome. In fact, I've learned a lot from the speaker, the first speaker, the second speaker, giving the background on climate change by Simi, and then, adaptation and mitigation strategies by Mr. Shadi. So in fact, I really just touch some areas that maybe have not been touched, and I wouldn't want to repeat so much on what has been said. I'll just like shed more light on some of the things that have been spoken about. Once again, thank you all, people that have joined from the beginning of this session till now. I believe that this is you taking action already. This is you deciding and dedicating your time to be at this webinar. So thank you. Without too much talk, let's just dive right in. Once again, I'm Adeshola Adegeye, and so I'll just quickly mention like how when we talk about climate change, it is not a standalone. It is interconnected. It is connected to like every sector, like everything we do. So it's not just like a climate change, it's on its own, it's over there. No, it affects, as you're eating, there's climate change is part of what is affecting it. If you don't know, in your transportation, like climate change it is affecting it. So it is interconnected. It has a ripple effect. So it doesn't just, it's not a standalone. It's not like, okay, that it is just one thing and it is over there. No, it is connected to everything we do. Even this webinar, if you there's actually an impact that it has, on our environment. There's an impact that it has on the environment. So that's why we all have to like reduce that impact, which we call our carbon footprint. When you check different sectors, whether it be communication sector, we have the impact that communication sector have on the environment. We have, whether in your food or your food chain or food supply chain, we have the impact that, now even tilling the ground, even farmers, the impact that they have, on the environment. That's why we encourage people to be sustainable in everything they do. Whether you are eating, be sustainable, look at, the effect, look at how, okay, what I'm eating, how sustainable is it? So one thing I'm going to dwell on really is for us to think, don't just consume, like think deeply on how that thing, oh, I'm buying clothes, where is my clothes from? Like begin to ask a question. This is how we can begin to develop solutions, can begin to take action, right? You can begin to question people that that manufacture some of these things, and can begin to ask the right question. I believe that most of the time when you hear people talk about climate change, climate action, and we are not asking the right question. And that's why even our leaders just give us some nice to hear plan, or they will give you, in 2020, in 2030, we are going to, they give us all those nice theory, but when it comes to the action part, there's nothing, zero action. But when it comes to climate change, it is very much connected to everything we do. And climate change is one thing that can undo all the fine development, like all the beautiful, just imagine the most beautiful building on earth. And then imagine that just one day, flood just comes and sweep it away, or there's wildfire, and then, it gets burnt and all. So I mean, if we don't take that action now, climate change can undo. It can, in fact, if left unchecked, it can undo a lot of development progress. It can undo a lot of good things that have been done over the past years. And that's why we have to take action now. Just imagine, maybe a very high-rise building in for Lagos now, in Banana Island, or in VGC, and then flood just comes and sweeps everything off. So you can see how detrimental that is, right? So if we leave it, and if we neglect and decide, oh, it doesn't affect me, or it's a slow thing, Jerry, maybe it will not even come to me. I would have lived and aged before climate change catches up with me. No, it is already catching up with us. So climate change, it is not coming. It is already here, because we are beginning to feel the impact. We are beginning to feel, the impact of climate change on everything that we do. So we are not saying it is coming. It is not coming. No, it is here already. And that's why we are not talking about, if it was still coming, would have said, let's prepare before it comes. But now that it's here, that's why we are trying to build strategies. We are talking about adaptation. When you are talking about adapting to something, it means, we've already become. Let me put it let me put it like that. We've accepted fate. But if we are not now careful, it's not going to get even worse. Like it will get worse in the youth time. It will get worse. So if left unchecked, climate change will undo a lot of progress, a lot of development progress that we've made over the years. It will promote mass migration that, in fact, that will lead to war, that will lead to instability. Imagine everybody, maybe there's when it gets really worse, that people in the north cannot even hold it anymore, or when it gets even worse, that people in Lagos cannot hold it, and maybe flood has covered the whole of Lagos, and everybody is maybe just one or two states that is left unaffected by climate change. Imagine if everybody in Lagos, about 20 million people, if all these people in Lagos, if we rush down to, say, Ibadan, like, how, just imagine how that would play in our head. Now we already have, like, shortage of housing. We already have, like, people, shortage of food shortage and everything. So how will those people in 20 million people moving to a certain area, how will they cope? It's going to lead to war. We already have cultural indifferences, and it's going to even, exacerbate these problems. So if we don't start taking action now, it will get worse. It will get worse. That's why we have to take urgent action for climate. We have to take climate action. It is not like climate change. It is here already. And we have to, because we already know that this thing is here. There's no point in deceiving ourselves, because most of the time we will say, it is not here. We will try to hold on to faith or hope. The hope that we have now is taking action. the hope that we have now is taking action. And the thing about climate change, that we can actually achieve a win-win, in the fight for climate change and ecological development. This thing can go hand in hand. One does not have to suffer, because most of the time we see greed. Many people are, who are dependent on. Could you please mute yourself, Sulaiman Nuruddin?
And that be like, and this family, by it has to be 365.
Okay, thank you. So when it comes to climate change, like, you don't have to, the action that you can, like, you don't have to have a hopeless hope. The only hope we have now is taking climate action, taking action. That's the hope that we have. So when we talk about climate action, people, or climate change generally, people see that maybe they're trying to inconvenience us. It is not so convenient. Is it until how urgent will you talk to how urgent will you tell a lady that just got displaced from her home, or a nursing mother that her house just got swept off? How urgent will you describe climate change in that situation? So, like, when we talk about climate change, we should see it in a different perspective. People that don't understand the in-depth of climate change can say all sorts about climate change. Oh, it is not for us in Nigeria. Oh, it is for the white men. Oh, it's not affecting us. It was what concern Nigeria with climate change, or what concern Lagos with climate change. But because we can see this effect, and that's why we can clearly see it. So we don't have to be in denial anymore. We have to just look for a way to see it in a good light, and to see the opportunities that it can create. Because when you talk about climate change, I don't see that as a problem anymore. I see green jobs. I see jobs. I see an opportunity for us to develop, global solutions. So when you start seeing it that way, you know that, oh yeah, I actually have work to do and have solutions to provide to the world. I have global changing ideas in my head. So when we begin to see it in that light, we begin to see solutions, we begin to see possibilities, we begin to see opportunities, we begin to see green jobs. When you hear climate change, as a youth, Sulaiman, could you please mute your mic? So when you hear climate change, you see it as opportunities to provide solutions to the world, to world problems. So and one of the call to action as well that we can, that we need to begin to see is like I mentioned, like asking the right questions. So you don't just get, oh, you're buying what's the common thing that we usually buy. Maybe you're buying clothes, and I'm sure, we like clothes, we like fashion. As you're buying those stuff, are you asking right? Are you check out that brand, just take a particular brand that you have, whatever you have, like right now, like maybe you just got it or something. Just check their website, check what they're even doing to mitigate climate change, check their ESG reports, check these things, and begin to understand. And if it's not there, you can that's where you start raising awareness that, okay, how does company this and this, they will respond to you. And when they see that people are beginning to ask questions, they will shift. Because most of our carbon emissions, actually, they are coming from big companies. They are coming from the rich countries and from the big companies. And because of greed and because of profits, they feel, oh, okay, because if I begin to jet towards climate action, I might lose profits. But it's not like that. It shouldn't be seen that way. Climate change and climate action comes with opportunities, with great opportunities. Now we are beginning to see that people are investing more, in renewable energy. Before it wasn't like that, but because people are beginning to see the opportunities there as well. We have more people investing in clean energy, in renewable energy sources, etc. There are many green jobs that can come from taking climate action. Now we see people, even in recycling as well, recycling sector, we're talking about circular economy. We see people, trying to make use of their waste and bringing out great things, bringing out amazing innovation from waste. We see people even talking about carbon credits. People we see people also developing solutions and innovative approach to capture. You hear carbon capture. So people are beginning to trap carbon because we have excess of it. And when, like Simi said when she was talking as well, that the world was created in a balance. So we shouldn't have too much. Let's say if we have too much sustainability in quote, it is even a problem. There has to be a balance. If you play the Jenga game like every time, that's that game where you stack wood. There's this like tiny piece of wood and you stack it on top of each other. at a point when it gets to where there won't be a balance anymore, the thing crumbles. If you play the Jenga game very well, you know that at the point, if you just remove a particular item from it, or a particular piece of wood, and there's no longer balance, it will crumble. So if climate change is, if we don't act now, there will be a time that everybody will just go into extinction. I pray we don't get there, but if you are just saying you are praying, and we don't take action, and we don't start to act now, it will be futile then, and that the worst will happen. So it's like a time bomb ticking, kicking, that if you don't start to act now, if we don't start taking those little changes in our daily lifestyle, you don't start to ask the right questions from these big companies, then we'll just see that there'll be a time where everything just that will be the end. So, but what are we doing now that can prevent that worst consequence from happening? What are we doing now? What are you as an individual doing now that can prevent this catastrophic failure from happening? We have people being displaced from their homes. We have the sea rising. We have the glaciers. We have so many issues of climate change that is around us that we can see. From 2010 to 2020, I think that was like the hottest decade ever recorded. So we can begin when we check the statistics, it's there. The science has shown us. We can also see this thing. So then what is stopping us from towing the right direction? As individuals, what can you take? What can you do to prevent climate change? One thing you can do, like Mr. Shadi has said, is spreading awareness. Talk about it. You don't have to talk about it using big terms. Break it down. Talk about it. Don't. Some people say, it is from God. Oh, it is just raining heavily for raining's sake. No, something has induced that large amount of rainfall. Before we don't have this volume of rainfall falling, but something has induced because of human activities. So when you begin to spread awareness, you begin to tell people about this thing, then they can begin to see the reasons why, they need to also caution themselves. I don't really need to take this transport because where I'm going to, it's just a short distance. When you begin to connect the dots of climate change, you begin to connect it to your health. You begin to see that climate is connected even to your food. You begin to see that climate is also connected to your clothing, to transportation, to the health, to everything, different sectors. When you begin to connect the dots together, you would realize that we really do not have time, and we need to start now because climate change is here already, and we need to start to act now. We have to go beyond mere plans and promises. By 2030 we go to and we don't have like some actionable steps even to getting to that, to solving the problem at that 2030. The SDGs is supposed to, we're supposed to reach a conclusive, or let me say, we're supposed to reach a good result by 2030. But where are we now? When you check the statistics, where are we in trying to solve what problem? Where are we in the SDGs? Where are we? We still have people are still going hungry. Zero hunger. The education is still not there. Where are we? So when you talk about the urgency of climate change, you see this problem, it will spur you into action. So mitigating and adapting as well to climate change is the way to go. Plant trees, spread awareness, try to promote circular economy. That's why you have, I also run an eco-friendly store called EcoBiz. Well, the aim of EcoBiz is basically to change the consumption pattern of people. You don't just, we have to move away from that linear economy where you just, you bring, you till the ground, get something, make things out of it, and then throw away. We have to look for a way to recycle that thing back into the system. So, and one big way it's actually, because when you see the carbon emissions, it's actually caused by big companies. So one is important to also persuade the decision makers in government, because they actually have, the right policy. They can implement this thing to reduce, that huge amount of carbon emissions that is coming from these companies. So it is important to persuade decision makers in government and businesses to drive emission reduction, because that the people in power actually have, they have the upper hand, really. Fine, we as individuals can, take our own little action. However, the larger chunk of it lies with the government as well. And how do we drive the government into action? By talking about it, by persuading them. If you have any opportunity to talk to the government or to meet with the government, talk about climate change as well. Mention, let it trend. If everybody is talking about it, then they will begin to see that, oh, we actually have to look into this thing. So when and the funniest thing is that climate change does not know whether you are rich or you are poor. It will affect everybody. When that rain falls, when everything, it will affect them. When the flood comes to sweep, and both young, both old, both rich and poor. The climate change does not know, oh, I'm class A, I'm at the top of the pyramid. No, it will affect everybody. Everybody, and we know when there's flood, imagine somebody is sick or somebody has just take your mind back to when there was Ebola and everything, and maybe flood just swept somebody that had Ebola, and the water also like entered your own house, entered different people. Do you know how quick diseases will spread? Can you see how it is now connected even to your health as well? So flood can lead to disease spread, damage to ecosystem, infrastructure, that nice building, that nice car that I think that you have that nothing can happen to. What if flood sweeps it away? What will you do? So we must begin to see that climate change is not just a child, it's not just for trend. It is not that's the aim thing. Some people will hop on climate change. That's the aim thing, that's what everybody's talking about. And that's why no, it is serious business. It is serious business, and we have to begin to see it for that. And also, when we talk about climate change, begin to see that, oh, this is an avenue for me to solve a global problem. We should begin to see it as an opportunity. We should begin to, when you talk about climate change, think about green jobs. Think about the positive part of it. How you can even thrive while with climate change, and how you can thrive by solving it. To begin to see the opportunities that are in it, it will help us to also rethink and have that mindset shift. We are used to our old way of doing things. Oh, we want to make money from oil alone. What about renewable energy? There's money in it as well. So we can have it can be a win-win. You can have people, planet, and profit together. And that's where the balance comes in. You don't have to just have that old traditional way of thinking. We need the mindset shift. And as youth, it's left for us to start talking about it. It's left for us, and thank God for forum like this, for webinars like this. This is the time where you begin to let people think outside the box. Don't just think about this. Think about outside the box. Look for solutions that you can create, even to better solve this crisis, to better adapt to climate change. Now there's tech. Use tech for climate change. What are we waiting for? You are youths. Use tech for climate change. Now we have so many content creators. Create content around climate change. We don't have to wait for the government every time as well. And that's where our own little part comes in. Create content around, when people say that, oh, this thing, why can't we have on the news now? How many times are they even talking about climate change? But when they are not talking about it, we as youth, we are the larger population, of course, talk about it. Make something new, innovative. Just recently, that was like I think last month, I was opportunity to meet with the Lagos State governor, and it was this same climate change thing that brought me into it. That brought me to meeting him. Great solution. He was really interested in what EcoBiz was doing. Checked out the product. Checked how it was made, and different questions sprung up from it. So let's begin to see climate change as an opportunity. Let's see it as an opportunity to create solutions to solve global problems. How amazing is it, that, okay, somebody from Nigeria, somebody from Lagos State, oh, we have, let me call some names here. We have Balikis, we have Adeze. Adeze did something, that solved, that reduced, that gave us, say, a 10% reduction in carbon emission in your organization, in your school, in your class, in your homes. How brilliant, how amazing would it be? How amazing would it sound that, oh yes, Chika, created a solution that was able to reduce maybe water pollution from so amount to so percentage. In our homes, what are we doing? Let's begin to think outside the box as youths. And this is also a call to action for us to rethink and direct, tailor your mind into being a problem solver, right? Don't dwell so much on the negative part. Look at the positive side and look at what you can do to help make this change. Thank you. Over to you, host.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Abisola. That was very, very, very innovative. Think green. Everyone, let's think green. Let's think innovative. Thank you, ma'am. So if you have any question, you can drop it now. So we're giving everyone 30 seconds to drop your question. That's right. 30 seconds to drop your question.
Okay, so we're giving you just less than 1 minute to drop your contribution. Can drop your contribution. Okay, so if you don't have any question, we'll be giving it we'll be giving the mic to Mr. Alamin Sowemimo. Mr. Alamin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alamin Shomino, and I'm a member of this SDG squad. Firstly, I would like to thank everybody here for joining us today in this enlightening webinar because it has been truly enlightening. Please, just to confirm, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you very much. So over the past hour, we have had the privilege of listening from experts who have shared light critical issues surrounding climate change. I just want to, on the closing notes, I want every one of us here to remember that the challenges we face today, although they seem very difficult, they are not impossible to achieve. The intersection of climate change and the SDGs reminds us that we all have a shared responsibility to safeguard this planet because it is our planet. And like Musimili Oluwa said, we don't have another earth that we're going to. There's no backup option. This is the only earth that we have. And it is a responsibility of all of us to safeguard this planet. So as we leave this webinar today, I want us to carry this knowledge and inspiration that we've gained and turn it into meaningful action in our communities, in our workplaces, in our schools, in our daily lives at home. We need to educate people as well that this responsibility is for every single person. Upon saying that, I would like to thank our esteemed speakers. I would like to thank the participants here. And I also like to thank our hosts for doing such a wonderful job tonight. I believe that together we can make a positive impact on our world for the sake of the current and the future generation. And I would like us to continue this vital conversation and work collectively towards a more sustainable future. Thank you, everyone. And have a wonderful evening. Over to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Mr. Alamin. So on this note, I'd like to say we youths have the energy, creativity, and first perspective to tackle complex challenges. So I want all of us to go on with the mindset of achieving sustainable environment, because if not, our climate change will get worse. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you all. Thank you all. Have a nice
Sorry,
rest.
what about attendance?
They're going to be taking a picture of it, so don't worry. I think they've done that already.
Oh, okay, noted.